Hello, everybody. If you're tuning into this live stream, good morning. Today is January 20th. I am going to hit up all these other platforms and make sure I'm live. So give me one moment. Okay. Just want to tune in on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, welcome. I'm going to add a thumbnail for you. I'm using Riverside to live stream this morning. So I'm trying this out. Bear with me. Well, you know what? I don't think I have it on this computer. That's all right. I would change the thumbnail after. Let's make sure we're live on LinkedIn. Let's see here. Let's go to my page. Post. Yep, it looks like I am live. Hello, everybody on LinkedIn, on YouTube. Good morning. If you can hear me, awesome. Let's get to what today I am talking about, which is how to start a podcast for just $31. So I'm in my podcast studio. My name is Zeke Rempel. I own a podcast studio here in Phoenix, Arizona. It is called, well, the company I own is called XYZ Media, and then they own the studio, which is a podcast studio. So we market that as XYZ Podcast Studio. So if you've seen that IG page, that's what that is for. XYZ Media More is the all-encompassing company that I work for, that I own, and that we kind of work and do a lot of work with, and that encompasses editing, producing podcasts, any type of content for businesses, entrepreneurs, content creators, helping them get content strategies going and have successful businesses while creating content. So, but today, again, how to start a podcast for just $31. And so we're just going to dive right into it. I'm going to jump straight in. If you cannot hear me, maybe make a comment, but I'm pretty sure my volume is pretty loud. But if you cannot hear me, that's okay. Just hit it up in one of the comments, whether that's on LinkedIn or whatnot. Let me hop in here. I don't want an echo now. All right, cool. Let's do this. So, the first thing I'm going to talk about, there's actually 7 steps to start a podcast for $31. But there's a prologue. So the prologue is going to be before you jump on this journey of starting a podcast, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you have a podcast logo, your name, and your strategy ready to go. The reason I say this is because uh, this is probably where everybody gets stuck. They get stuck on, and they spend the most time on the name, the logo, the branding, all that jazz. And on top of that, maybe a strategy on how to reach the target niche or group of people that you wanna try to get your content in front of. People get stuck here because they overthink it, they want to be perfectionists, and then they never actually create the podcast, the content, whatever it may be. So I highly, highly recommend just get these done. Just check box them just so you know that you can move into the next step. Because if you go into the next steps without having these done, then you might spend hours doing step 1, 2, and 3, getting things in line. And you're like, oh, let's go design my podcast logo. And like I said, most people get stuck here. They never move past it. So they spend all those time getting a podcast ready to go to be published and to market it, only to never decide on a logo or a name. And it just never happens. So get this done and don't spend too much time on it, because as you grow, you're going to want to redo things, improve upon a logo, improve upon brand colors and fonts for your branding and all that stuff. So, honestly, use AI, just generate a generic um, logos, or if you have something in mind, keep it simple, keep it minimal. Maybe if you're doing a podcast around yourself, around your name, just do a picture of yourself with like the name of the podcast to the side. Not even that, just picture of yourself. Um, yeah, those are just some tips. Don't overthink it, please. Just get these done. Like I said, get your podcast logo, your name, and if you can, a strategy of like how many shorts you want out of this, length, all that stuff, the format, the strategy. So, step number 1 of getting a podcast or starting a podcast for $31 is head over to YouTube to create your channel. Get that done. Now, if you have a Gmail account, you can have multiple YouTube channels. They're called brands. If you want to know that, hop in to YouTube, Google how to do that. I can show you how to do that really easily. But create the YouTube channel and then also head over to Spotify for creators. And that is going to be where your podcast is also going to be uploaded. Step one, the whole entire process of step one is establishing the distribution feeds. This is important because let's say you have a ton of episodes recorded. You're like, all right, let's blast these out. You're like, I don't know how to distribute this. Just create these two so you know that where the episodes are going to go, where you're going to upload title descriptions, video, the audio, all that jazz. Just establish these, create the accounts so that this is all set up. And then once you're in there, again, copy and paste your name of your podcast, and then also do. Go ahead over to AI, get a quick paragraph description of what your podcast is about. Paste that in there in both those feeds in the about sections. Explore those platforms. That's where it's going to go. And the awesome part is both of those are free. So to distribute your podcast in 2025, it is completely free. So please dive into that, jump into those feeds, and then create those accounts. It's very easy. And the awesome thing is that Spotify for creators is actually really trying to rival YouTube in 2025. If you want to go research it, I can do more video content on this kind of new business war between YouTube and Spotify fighting for creators. But Spotify is really upping their game in the content creation space and splitting monetization just like YouTube does with creators. So there's a lot of possibility if you want to be a creator to really lean into Spotify. So I would upload on both. I mean, if you got a contract and getting paid to upload only on one, that's great for you. But I'm assuming because you want to start a podcast for $31, you're not in that boat. Anyways, so go create those accounts, get those set. That is step number one. Done. Move on to the next thing. So like I said, $31. We're going to spend the first little bit of my money and we're going to head over to Amazon and we're going to buy a mic. So I'm going to share my screen here. We're going to hop over to, let's see here, make sure we're going to be on the right tab. Cool, we are there. I'm going to hop over and show you this link. Give me one moment. I'm dealing with a lot of tech in front of me. Here we go. Paste this into this tab that you can see. This is my low email tab. Perfect. I'm gonna head over to Riverside. Make sure you guys can see this. Probably should get multiple screens so I'm gonna be live streaming. That'd be very, very helpful. Cool, you can see it. Awesome. All right. Oh, that price changed. It literally was $11 the other day. That's gonna mess up my $31 marketing for this video. Let's just do this. Mic for iPhone. That's what I originally searched. Like I said, prices kind of vary. $12.99 right there. Make sure it's also the right end. You want the USB-C if you have a newer phone. These prices fluctuate. I mean, like I said, when I first did this research, these were $11. That's the $10 one. So I'm going to stick with $11. I know the one I picked out technically was $16, but I'm sorry. Now, the reason I'm saying buy this is because we're trying to be as minimal as possible. So buying a really expensive mic is not necessary in the beginning. I think that the bare minimum is using your, we're going to talk about the camera next, but using the bare minimum of your phone mic is very plausible and it'll work. But like I said, I'm sitting very far away from my setup over here. I got a Rodecaster, I got another computer, I got another switchboard because I run a studio. But so I wouldn't be able to sit close to my camera because my camera would not capture my audio. If you get these mics, what they're going to do is that it's going to pretty much make it easy for you to sit further away from a camera and have more flexibility of recording content. And plus, you get that mic right up on your shirt and it can capture pretty well. The only downside to this is these microphones are very cheap. They might last you 2 years. They may last 2 weeks. I don't know. Hopefully not 2 hours. The reason I'm just saying this is because if you're not ready to commit to a full strategy or even know that you want to create content long term, you just want to try out podcasting, don't spend a lot of money. Just buy a cheap mic that'll sound decent. There's so many different products on Amazon you can buy, but I'd buy something like this that can connect to your phone. Again, remember, if you have USB-C or the old iPhone port, some come with the conversions. Just make sure you have the right port and then connect them. I mean, I think this comes with 2 microphones. You can find one that comes with 1 microphone, and that'll become your phone mic essentially, and that's how you record it. So that is step 2. I think that's where I'm at. Awesome. Let me switch back to Riverside here, and we're going to stop sharing. So that's the microphone. All right. The next thing we're going to talk about, step 3. You know, and actually, I'm going to squeeze in a bonus because some of you people, if you're really serious about podcasting, you're going to think, you know what? I don't want to spend $10 on a mic that's probably going to have a great risk factor of not giving me what I want, a good product of audio or a good audio signal or sounding audio. So, you know what? I will say, here's a bonus. If you're going to spend, if you want to really commit to a podcast for like a year, 6 months even, I consider buying a decent mic. And there are a lot of decent mics between $50 and $150. But they're all no-name brands that are sold on Amazon. They're shipped overseas, different brands. I've tried some of them. Some sound okay, some don't. Just know that there's a risk factor using those. They probably look like this. This is a Shure mic. They look like this, but they're not Shure. They're whatever brand. So I always stick with name brands, which are Rode, Shure, Samson is probably like the lower grade of those. Those kind of brands that you have heard, or at least you've seen other podcasters use. So I go to those brands and I look at their lowest grade mics that'll fit what you're trying to do. So the first one, let me share my screen again. The first one I'm going to show you is, well, one moment, share my screen again. We're back on here. The first one I'm going to show you is going to be, I believe, from Rode. Yes, and this is the pod mic. This one's kind of exploding. So you really need to be looking at, if you're going to buy an expensive mic, or at least a mic that's going to sound pretty good, that's going to last you. Professionals use this mic. They make it work. So it could last you a very long time. You got to make sure you look at this thing right here. Make sure it's USB, because this next following steps are very important for that. XLR will sound better, but that takes much more explanation, much more equipment to buy to equip that. So make sure it has a USB connectivity, please. Please. Sometimes they're more expensive to get the USB, but that's okay. Rode Pod mic. This is a very solid mic. It was very popular a couple years ago, but it's a very solid mic. Again, Rode is a very decent brand. They sell some great products. I use Rode Podcaster. Anyways, now we're gonna jump to the next mic I have on here. This is outside the bounds of $31. So again, this is a bonus. This is bonus content. It's going to be Shure actually released a way cheaper mic that's just for USB connectivity. It says it's for streaming, video games, all that stuff. I definitely give this one a whirl. It's a newer mic. You can't really go wrong with the Shure product. I've never used a Shure product I don't like. And it's only $150. So it's right at the top of that budget of what I said of what a lot of cheaper mics will go for. These ones look cool. I think they look cool. Come with even a stand that connect to your computer like right away. Very simple and easy to use. So if you don't want to use this cheapo, take a risk on a $10 mic, $16 today, definitely go with those. But that's all I have to say about the mics. All right, let's jump back to $31 and sticking within those bounds. But first, let's see if we got anybody talking to us, any comments. Doesn't look like we got any right now, which is okay. No worries. Just making sure I'm not missing anything. All right, cool. Now we're going to jump to step number. When you live stream, you forget that there's like things that's hiding where you need to click. So I have to keep search barring. Okay. Let me jump back to Riverside. We'll move the screen here. Perfect. All right. Give me one moment. Jump back to where I was in my notes. All right. Step number 3. So we've done we've gone through the prologue. We've gone through step one, which is establishing the distribution feeds on Spotify and YouTube. Now we thought about the mic. We've decided what mic we're going to get. We're to say minimal effort. We're getting a $12 mic, $11 mic, which I have on here. Step three is going to be prepping your phone. Do not start a podcast and buy an expensive camera. I say this because not everybody sticks to podcasting for longer than I'd say a month, 2 months, 3 months. And if you buy an expensive camera, that's almost $1,000 with a body and a lens that you've just thrown at this hobby that you're no longer going to do. Do not do that. Okay. Before doing that, try studios out. If you're going to spend that type of money, try other methods before buying a camera, because not even cameras can resell, but it's a hassle. Okay. Don't do it. Use your phone as your camera when you first start out. It is a way easier way to dip your toe into content creation, and phone cameras are not that bad anymore. The newer iPhones, they can pretty much become your webcam, which we are going to be doing later in this to keep the cost down. So, step number 3 is prepping your phone to be your camera. I have an iPhone. I believe I don't even know what number we're on. It's not the newest one. It came out last year. It does great. All right. It's way better than your camera or the camera on your laptop. Do not use the camera on your laptop or your computer either. That also looks like crap. I won't say what I really want to say. It's not good. So definitely use your phone. An iPhone, or Apple has done a great job to convert your iPhone into webcams nowadays. All you have to do is connect it through a wire. If you're going to use your iPhone as a webcam, make sure it is wired in, just in case. There is a wireless feature. I've tried it. It is cool when you want to like move around, but it does not create an effective, does not give you the greatest quality. Sometimes there's buffering. The wire just gives it, and it's up to 4K quality using your phone. Okay. The only thing that's a little annoying about it, if you're a perfectionist, you understand cameras, you cannot really customize the iPhone. Everything's kind of like on auto settings. So you can't play around with it too much. Like right now, I have a professional camera on me. I have like cool lighting behind me and I have a light in front of me. Sometimes the lighting just won't look like you just can't control the lighting and the ISO and the aperture and all that stuff with your phone just because it's on auto everything. So just be aware of that. But it looks good enough. It's fine. Totally great. All right. Do not spend an expense. I'm not even going to show you a bonus here because I don't even want to show you these cameras. If you're starting a podcast, please do not buy a camera. The next thing I would recommend if you want really high quality is to find a podcast studio in your city that's around you that you can just rent, try out podcasting for a bit, and then you're like, I want to do this. Then you can spend that type of budget. We can have that conversation. You can hit me up. I can recommend gear to you. All right. So that is step 3. We're prepping your phone. Now, if you don't have an iPhone, I would be shocked if phones from Google, Android, Samsung, if they cannot convert them into webcams. Typically, iPhones are a little behind on this, and so I'm sure they have already figured it out and how you can connect them. Don't know how well they would work with Mac computers, but still, I'm sure there's a way to do it. Google it. If there's no way to use your phone, the other option is to spend a little bit more money and buy a pretty nice webcam if you don't want to buy a professional camera. But at that point, I just buy a camera or buy like the cheapest high grade cameras. But if you have that issue, let me know. I can help you out. Step 4. All right. We've prepped our phone, our mic, everything else. Our distribution feeds are there. We're going to purchase Riverside. Now, Riverside has a subscription right now that you can jump on. And I'm actually going to share my screen for this because I want to show you this. Riverside is the secret component that's going to let you do this at a cheap price. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen again. All right. And there's a reason why Riverside is the key. And I'm going to share this secret with you. Okay. I want to go to this page because I want to show you this. All right. Riverside is a tool that lets you record with guests by yourself. whatever it may be. Okay. And it'll connect to all the equipment that you have, your phone, your microphone, whatever it might be. It connects it all together. So for just $15 a month, you can hop on their cheapest plan and pretty much take care of everything that you need to do this. Now, if you want to do live streaming, you might need to purchase an extra $10, but um, Riverside is amazing. I'll kind of plug them. This is not a sponsored live stream by Riverside, even though I'm using Riverside to try out how their live stream works. I wanted to test it out. I figured, why not do it for this? And sorry, it's not letting me stop sharing. Here we go. I'm going to explain why Riverside is the key to keeping this price cheap, low. If you're going to start a podcast for as low as amount of money as possible, purchase Riverside, because what it's going to let you do, it's going to let you interview guests, hook up your. I'm going to restart this because I want this actually to be short. This is a good tip. If you're going to use Riverside to record a podcast for very cheap, what Riverside's going to let you do is hook up all your equipment from your microphone to your camera. It's going to let you interview guests at a very high quality setting. It's going to capture your 4K footage. And what it's also going to do, it's not only going to let you interview somebody else, and multiple people, if not, you also want to be able to, it's going to capture their footage within their computer. So you no longer have to worry about their Wi-Fi, their connection, whatever it might be. It's all going to be taken care of. Okay. How that works is that when you interview somebody, you kind of will see through this process. It's actually going to upload both of your guys' camera feeds separately. And then after everything's done, you can download everything. It's amazing. This technology pretty much came to be around 2023, 2024. And well, basically lets a lot more tools and editing and be able to just, you don't have to rely on the Wi-Fi, because the biggest worry when you interview somebody is that there's so many factors that you can't control, right? So if you're because of, they might have bad internet connection is usually the biggest. They might have noises, they might have a bad equipment setup. But what Riverside at least does is it eliminates a lot of those factors by just capturing what their setup is at its best and giving you access to it. Okay. If you're going to use Riverside, though, please give a tip that when you stop recording, they have them hang on for like an extra 5 minutes or so. A lot of people, if they leave right away after the recording, it doesn't finish uploading their stuff, and then you don't get access to that file that I just suggested. So, what Riverside also lets you do, if you're going to be doing a solo podcast, you can just record on Riverside and download that high quality footage. No longer do we have to rely on your phone to keep all that footage in here. Who else has iPhone storage issues? Riverside can just keep all that footage here. It can pretty much just record your microphone and your camera together and just bring it all in here. Okay. It's amazing for that. So you can use it for just recording. The last thing you can use it for is live streaming, which I'm doing right now. Some other bonus things about Riverside. If you want somebody to be like a producer, to hop in and not really be on the call, but like to listen to it and help you through it, then you can have someone be a silent person on the side and just listen to it and be there and talk to you every once in a while, kind of like a content strategist or a remote producer or whatnot. If you're going to be doing not podcasting, you just want clips, all right? And you want somebody to walk you through, maybe ask you questions or tee you up to set up great short form clips. That's why I said this is not just great for podcasting, it's great for just creating content. Somebody can be in here and just be teeing you up, and you don't have to capture their feed. Actually, when you download everything, you don't even need to download that camera. It just gives you a lot of flexibility to have somebody in here to help you create content. And we actually do this a lot. We will call our clients across the states, and because they already have a nice setup, we just capture their footage. We just talk to them and record it, and we get good shorts for them, and then they actually don't have to think about it again. We download all that footage on our end, and then we edit them, and we edit their shorts, and we send it back to them. So from like a producer standpoint, Riverside is awesome. If you want to hire a producer, Riverside is probably the best tool to use to work with them. All right. Sorry, that was my whole spiel about Riverside. Riverside's great for creating any type of content. All right. So you've purchased Riverside. No more purchasing. That's it. That's the budget. All right. It's between $30 and $35. I know that Mike fluctuated that price. I'd say it probably was like $35 today if we wanted to start. That's all it takes. But that's not the end of the steps, right? We want to do There's still some things you probably need to prep, but obviously Riverside is the key. And again, if you want to go through the process on how you send links to people, how do people get in the call with Riverside, that Riverside walks you through it all. Okay. So that is Riverside. That is step number 4. Step number 5 is editing the episode. Boom. Riverside can do it for you. Riverside actually is a really great built-in tool now. And I actually was dabbling with it, editing shorts last night. Riverside makes it really easy to just take the footage that you just recorded and then edit it if you're editing a podcast. Now, if you want to make fancy shorts, you might need to hire an editor if you don't know how to do all that. So that's not probably a good reason to use Riverside's built-in editing. But for editing a podcast, it is great. All right. You just have to use their tools. You can cut out moments you don't want in there. You can switch between camera angles. Use Riverside's built-in. It just makes it super easy and smooth. Now, if you want your branding, like you want your logo to fade in, or you want some special music, if you want all this stuff, you're probably gonna have to download the footage and throw it in a different editing software. This is where extra money could come in depending on the editing software you use. If you use like iMovie, that's free. But if you want, or if you want to use other ones that are paid, like I use Adobe Premiere and DaVinci, if you want to use those, you have to obviously pay for that software and to be a little more complex with your podcast edit. But if you don't really care, if you just want literally the bare minimum, you just want to get this podcast episode done, just get to the episode, get out, then you can use Riverside's built-in thing, and you've already paid for it, so it's done. So that is editing the episode. Step 6, second to last step, we're almost there, is the distribution. So in step 1, we established those distribution feeds. Now we're going to be talking about your thumbnail, your title, and your description. We're probably going to linger on this step for a hot second because if you want your podcast to blow up, you got to focus on these 3 things: your thumbnail, your title, your description. All right. The awesome thing about thumbnails is that actually the best thing you can do that's totally free is use Instagram stories to create your thumbnail. Really great tip is if you're recording your content, when you're done, take a picture of yourself with the emotion you want to be integrated with that episode or be marketed with that episode. It could be extreme emotion, could be like the Mr. Beast, it could be, you just smiling, whatever it is. Take a picture. Then what you're going to actually do with that picture is go on Instagram stories. I know you're going to have to turn it sideways because that's how the picture is going to come in. And then you pretty much will add some of Instagram's text, the title of the episode for the thumbnail, and boom, save it to your phone. That's your thumbnail. Super easy. You can use Instagram stories to literally design all your thumbnails. That's the easiest, fastest way to do it. Obviously, if you want to be more complex, you want more effects, you want to do all this stuff, you can hire somebody, or you can get Photoshop or Canva and build out thumbnails. All right, that's the thumbnail. The next thing, your title. I'd assume you probably have a title in mind. Make the title make sure it goes alongside with the thumbnail. As a strategy standpoint, I would not make your thumbnail and your title the same thing for your video. Keep those separate. Those are 2 different ways to get somebody to click on your video to watch or your podcast. Thumbnail is generally for your eyes. The title is definitely for your brain to be like, I want to learn about that. So thumbnail is intrigue. Title is more of also a part of the SEO as well, where the video is going to be supported to or pushed out to. So those are definitely the 2 options for that. Okay. And then your description. All right. Description is very minimum if you just want to, title it out, or you want to go from your title and write your description and whatnot. You can type it out, write a paragraph. You can have another great way to do this if you actually need help with the title as well is if you transcribe, which Riverside gives you a transcription of your entire episode. Paste that into ChatGPT, the free version, and tell you to give you titles and descriptions. Honestly, that's the easiest way to do it. So you don't have to really think about it and give them a bunch of versions, change the language so it doesn't sound like AI, and boom, you're done. That's a little tip if you want to do that fast, but you can always write these yourself. Okay. You don't need to purchase any other software. There are other software I use. Maybe I could break down further videos that can like chapter your video or your podcast and a couple other things for your YouTube upload, but we won't worry about that. We're keeping this price low, right? So that's your thumbnail, title, description. Okay, you got those done. Keep those I usually organize it in my notes or just save it in your files because the last thing you're going to do is you're going to upload and you're going to schedule. Copy and paste all the info we just got your title, description, add your thumbnail alongside, make sure everything's uploaded from your video, and you schedule it. And boom, that's your first episode up and going. And that is just in 7 steps. You got that all done. And we kept that price around $35, right? Pretty cool how you can do that these days. Let me make sure anyone's commented. Um, that's all right, no worries. Just want to make sure everyone is getting anything answered they have questions for. And look, we're 30 minutes and I just finished through the steps. So the last thing I was going to say is that, like I said, podcasting, a lot of people phase off very quickly. So please protect yourself from burnout. Imagine yourself getting into a cold pool. It's like, it's a freezing pool, but you want to go swimming. If you dive in right away, it's going to be a hard experience. You have to catch up with it. But if you slowly get in, get used to the temperatures, you can increase your upload schedules, then you'll be able to possibly think about podcasting as something that could be your side hustle or help improve your business or be the main part of your business. It's all the marketing for selling courses or your coaching programs. So pace yourself, please, and don't spend a lot of money doing something that you may not have the money for, that you may not even be fully committed to. Again, put low effort in at first, and if you find it very rewarding and it's working for you, then because you almost need a proof of concept when it comes to getting your podcast marketed. If you have a few shorts that pop off, you got something, right? That's a little bit of wisdom and advice. And yeah, I think that's about it for giving you guys a full step-by-step guide on how to start a podcast for $31. If you need any other questions, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or YouTube. Comment down below. We can get in touch and figure out how we can help you. Now, if you're somebody that wants to bypass this, you're like, I want a successful content strategy from creating short form content, YouTube videos, or podcasting. And you're like, Zeke, I want to work with you. Our website link is down below. If you want to rent the studio, xyzpodcast.studio is the URL for that. And if you want to work with my company, maybe on the editing side or scheduling calls, head up xyzmedia.info. Those are both ways you can work with me. But again, reach out to me, DM me on Instagram as well. Either the studio profile or my personal profile. We can get started and try to work with each other. But again, I hope this live stream gave you a little bit of value on how to start a podcast so cheaply in 2025. It's something that's there's a huge advantage to do it. I know there's a huge podcast boom. There's a lot of humor and people making fun of people starting podcasts. But honestly, a podcast is still a great way to market yourself because it captures you in your natural form. And I definitely think podcasting is changing. I'll definitely admit that. I think informational podcasts that just kind of give you the minimum of maybe staying up to date on news and stuff, those will be kind of transferred into AI. AI can have conversations with each other and give you the info you need, and they're already out there. You may not even realize that your podcast you listen to is AI if it's that boring. But I think podcasts are great for showing your personality and your expertise and your storytelling. And that's what I think a lot of people resonate with podcasts or just creating content in general as from a person. So podcasting lets you do that. If you want to see any more content that's helping people create content, I said content like 10 times. If you want to see more info or help or tips on how to create content 2025, follow the page, follow my IG page, Zeke Rempel, at Zeke Rempel. I'm definitely posting content all the time on how to help people. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope this was helpful. I'll see you in another live stream.